Welcome to Toxic Psychology, the channel where we uncover the mind games no one else dares to show you. Today, we dive into one of the most dangerous psychological prisons in existence: life with a toxic husband. On the outside, he may look charming. To the world, he's respectable. But behind closed doors, he controls, manipulates, and destroys. This video isn't entertainment. It's survival knowledge. Because once you understand the laws of toxic psychology, no one will ever control your mind again. Section 1. The Perfect Illusion, Love Bombing Trap. He doesn't win you with hate. He wins you with love. At first, the toxic husband feels like a fairy tale. He showers you with endless compliments, late-night calls and texts, sudden promises of forever. Grand gestures that feel too good to be true. And that's because they are too good to be true. This is love bombing, a psychological trap where attention feels like love, but it's actually the hook. Example: a toxic man may propose within weeks, saying, "When you know, you know." But the speed isn't passion, it's pressure. He isn't building love, he's building control. Section 2. Control disguised as care. Control doesn't come as a command. It comes as concern. The toxic husband starts softly. "That friend is a bad influence. I don't like when you dress like that. Why do you need to go out without me?" It feels like protection, but it's really coercive control. One day you realize every choice, clothes, friends, career, must pass through his approval. Real story. A wife once said, "He never told me not to work. He just said, 'I'll take care of you. You don't need the stress.' Within a year, I had quit my job. By year 2, I couldn't even buy a coffee without asking him first." Section 3. Emotional warfare, gaslighting, silent treatment, playing victim. What if the person you trust most makes you doubt your own mind? A toxic husband is a master manipulator. Gaslighting: you're imagining things. You start questioning your own memory. Silent treatment: he disappears emotionally until you beg for his attention. Playing victim: he cries, he sulks, he blames you. Suddenly, you're guilty for confronting him. Psychological note: this creates cognitive dissonance. Your brain fights between what you feel and what he says, leaving you paralyzed. Mini story: Nadia saw a text on her husband's phone. When she asked, he said, "You're paranoid. Do you need therapy?" By the end of the night, she apologized for accusing him. Section 4. The Silent Prison, Isolation. When you have no one else, even your abuser feels like home. Isolation is not instant. It's gradual. He criticizes your family. He mocks your friends. He demands loyalty only to him. Soon, you stop calling people. You stop meeting friends. And when things get worse, there's no one left to turn to. Psychology. This is social starvation. Just like food starvation makes you eat anything, emotional starvation makes you cling to the only person left, even if they're toxic. Section 5. The Weapon of Fear, Anger and Intimidation. He doesn't have to hit you to hurt you. Fear is the leash of toxic husbands. Sometimes it's yelling, sometimes smashing objects, sometimes just the look in his eyes. You start walking on eggshells, editing yourself to avoid triggering his rage. Example: a wife once said, "I knew his footsteps. The sound of his shoes told me whether it was going to be a good night or a nightmare." Psychology. This is trauma conditioning. Just like a dog flinches at a raised hand, victims flinch at even the hint of anger. Section 6. Financial domination, money as a weapon. If he owns your wallet, he owns your choices. One of the most invisible yet powerful tools of a toxic husband is financial control. It doesn't matter if he earns more, or even if you're the one working. He will twist money into chains. He may control every account, give you allowances like a child, criticize your spending while wasting money himself, block your career growth so you remain dependent. Example: Zara had a good job before marriage. Her husband convinced her to quit, saying, "I'll provide everything." Within a year, she had to ask permission to buy even makeup. The job she left behind wasn't just money, it was freedom. Psychology. This is called economic abuse. Studies show that over 90% of toxic marriages involve financial control. Why? Because if you control someone's money, you control their escape. Section 7. The cycle of abuse, hope and hurt. He breaks you, then he heals you, then he breaks you again. A toxic husband keeps his partner trapped in a repeating cycle. Explosion. He lashes out, screams, insults, or even becomes violent. Remorse. He apologizes, cries, says he'll change. Honeymoon. For a while, he's sweet, caring, romantic, like the man you fell for. Tension. Slowly, the pressure builds again, until the next explosion. This cycle is not random. It's programming. It teaches the victim to cling to the brief good times and ignore the pain. Mini story. A wife said, after every fight, he'd buy me flowers, kiss my forehead, and promise to be better. For weeks, he was perfect again. But it never lasted. I wasn't in love with him. I was in love with the hope of him. Psychology. This is known as trauma bonding, a chemical addiction to the cycle of pain and relief. Section 8. The breaking of identity, losing yourself. The goal of a toxic husband isn't just control. It's erasure. Slowly, the toxic husband doesn't just control what you do. He destroys who you are. You stop dressing like you used to. You stop laughing as much. You stop dreaming about your future. He erases your hobbies, your goals, even your personality, until you look in the mirror and don't recognize yourself. Example: Farah once loved painting. Her husband mocked her art, saying it was childish. Eventually, she stopped painting. Years later, she realized she hadn't touched a brush in a decade, not because she didn't want to, but because he had killed that part of her. Psychology. This is identity erosion, a slow psychological death where the victim becomes a shadow of who they once were. Section 9. The public mask, two faces of a toxic husband. To the world, he's perfect. To you, he's poison. One of the cruelest tricks of a toxic husband is his ability to wear a mask in public. At parties, he's charming. With friends, he's respectful. Online, he's the perfect husband. So when you finally speak out, people don't believe you. They say, "But he's such a nice guy. I wish my husband treated me like yours." You must be overreacting. This makes you feel even more trapped. You start questioning your own reality, because the world only sees his mask, not his monster. Story. Hina tried telling her mother about her husband's abuse. Her mother said, "He's always so polite with us. Maybe it's just a misunderstanding." That one sentence silenced Hina for 5 more years. Section 10. Breaking free. The power of reclaiming yourself. His control ends the moment you choose freedom. Breaking free is the hardest step, but it is possible. Recognize the patterns. Rebuild your support system. Take back financial independence. Remember who you were before him. Psychology. Freedom begins not outside, but inside. The moment you stop believing his lies, his chains begin to break. Story. One survivor said, "The day I left, I didn't feel strong. I felt terrified. But 2 years later, I looked back and realized that was the strongest day of my life. Dot. Toxic psychology. This was the dark reality of the toxic husband. If you saw yourself in these words, remember, you are not alone. Thousands live this silent prison, but silence only feeds the abuser. Here on Toxic Psychology, we expose the hidden games manipulators use, so you can take your power back. Subscribe, share this knowledge, and join the movement. Because knowledge isn't just power, it's freedom.